Call the November 8th, 9th, special meeting of the Board of Public Works to order. I guess we should do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Yep. Pledge of allegiance to the flag.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence.
Starting.
Okay, thank you. So, present, we have all the board members with Richard Nichols on Zoom. Our general manager, assistant general manager, recording secretary. And I'm sorry, is anyone on from Mike's firm?
No.
No, okay. And in the audience, we have Charlie from GMB to do the presentation. So what's it?
Yeah, here.
Oh, and Aaron Marshall. Okay, so with that,
You turn it over to Charlie.
either Charlie or Austin, whichever one wants to kick it off.
Charlie, want to do it?
So we're here today to present the recommendation of award to Steel Construction for the Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park Sewer and Water Extension Project. Just so you know, I think you probably all have the letter in front of you, our recommendation of award letter. The board opened bids in this room at 2 p.m. on October 31st. And we did receive 5 bids. Adel Construction Company, Atlantic Contracting and Materials Company, Mumford and Miller Concrete, Ryball Construction Group, and Teal Construction Inc. So the lowest responsible total base bid with contingent items, Schedule A plus B, was received from Teal Construction in the amount of $4,446,446. GMB has reviewed all the bid documents, Teal's and all the other bidders, and found them to be consistent with the requirements. So accordingly, we recommend that the board award the project to Teal Construction Inc. in their amount of $4,446,446, including their total base bid and contingent items. So just so you know, that was all there was, Schedule A plus Schedule B. There were no alternatives on this particular project like we sometimes have. And so that you also know, GMB's engineer's estimate for construction was $4,567,000. So once again, GMB was not the low bidder. Just want to emphasize
You're
that.
close, you're close.
We actually had,
Darn close on.
yeah, well, Adel's bid was a little bit above ours and they were first one open. I was like, okay, they're not too bad. So some of the others got high. But more importantly, it all falls into what the board put in for their SRF loan request. So it's all within the budget of the loan, which is really good. You know, we've had projects in the past that have SRF loans where one or two, we've had to go back to the state and request more funding after the bids came in. In this case, we don't expect that to happen at all. Just a couple other things. We always have to keep DNREC and ODW, since they're funding the project, up to date on all the correspondence, and they are up to date on all the correspondence with regard to the bids and all their requirements, American Iron and Steel certification, disadvantaged business enterprise, DB, MeBe-Weeby, we used to call it. All that paperwork, they're up to speed on. Drug testing certifications, that sort of thing. So they're up to date on everything so that you guys know that. Preliminarily, we talked to Teal. We're going to meet with them again on Monday. They're talking about like a February 1st actual on the ground start. Of course, we got to get the agreement in place, have a pre-construction meeting. They got to get all their shop drawings into GMB for review. So that typically takes some time, and plus with the holidays, and January not being the greatest month to actually start a project, they're saying February 1st to actually start the work. And just a reminder to the board that there is a meeting scheduled for next Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Rollins Center, community meeting with the Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park residents. I guess the owner might even be there. We'll see. And like I said before, Austin, Teal, and GMB are meeting on Monday to finalize our presentation for that particular meeting. So getting back to it, we recommend award to Teal, and that's what's before the board today.
And if you guys can remember, one of the things that kind of held up the bidding process was making sure that we had the correct insurance documents inserted into this. So as part of this, as you award, you're basically, they acknowledge when they submitted that they're going to meet those insurance requirements. We'll confirm that before we enter into any or sign any dotted lines as it pertains to this contract.
Have we had, in the past, have we had any issues or concerns with Teal? I know they've done work for a lot of people in this area. Has everything been up to code and
Yeah.
proper?
And just to backtrack one thing, nothing to do with, let the record show that the city mayor is not here. Okay. Sorry about that. I missed that in the early part. All right, so do we have a motion?
Real
or
quick
any-
question, Chuck. This meeting coming up next Thursday about what is that just to bring people to what the contract is for doing or what?
Well, it's more to inform them about, more about the construction part of the project in
Yeah.
terms of when it might start,
Okay,
what they can expect in terms of disturbance. We're going to talk to Teal particularly about traffic control inside the park and tying, making connections to each one of the units and when they can, get on the board's public water and sewer system. We're going to talk about some of that stuff too. But it's more about, not so much about what's in the project, because we've done that a few times already.
that's what I thought. That's why I asked. Yeah.
But more about like just preparing them for the
Mhm.
construction phase.
Yeah, it's the pre-construction meeting.
Got it.
Keep the residents informed and have any questions
Mm-hmm.
answered.
Mhm.
So,
When's the completion date? What's it scheduled to be?
So it's a 21-month contract, so we'll establish the notice to proceed date at the pre-con meeting. But let's just say it's January 1st. What's 21 months from January 1st? It's something like October of 2024. In that range, press. Mhm.
We're gonna meet, when we meet with Johnny and those guys, we're gonna kind of discuss, what kind of leads them to the start date, because we've had some different ideas on where they could start early if they could, or we know hot mix plants are gonna be the biggest issue and how this winter plays out. I think the almanac's calling for a bad winter. What that means, nobody knows, but we'll see.
What the almanac says is what happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, just refresh your memory. There is a little piece where we have to connect the water and sewer piping going into the park, add into Donovan's Road, which is actually a DelDOT maintained road. So there's that piece of it that's not overly complicated, but it does involve DelDOT and some greater requirements than, say, inside the park in terms of paving and things like that.
And we're confident that each of these have done all their due diligence and know exactly what we need to have done.
Who, Teal?
Well, I would argue everybody, but Teal in particular, yeah, because that's when you're.
Teal, definitely. They had close to 30 questions during the bid process that GMB responded to. So, yeah.
Were they more onerous in a positive way than the others? As far as getting
questions?
information, yeah.
I wouldn't say they were onerous at all. I'd say they were,
Onerous in a positive way.
yeah.
Trying to
They were
uncover.
requesting clarification on a lot of things, yeah.
Okay.
Well, starting in January, paving shouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't think they'd be that far along to start paving unless they had the connection, maybe you're saying.
The only paving issues I don't expect it to be a problem either, Press, but when they make their connection into Donovan's Road,
Mhm.
you know, the Del Dot route will require that to be paved immediately. So if they get done, like I said, I don't expect it to be a problem. They won't even be done that work until probably March, which then the plants are open and it's not a terrible time to pave.
And if they're finishing up in January or so, the 24, most of the paving should have been well along. By
Yeah, I expect them to be finishing up in the fall of 24, so we shouldn't run into a problem.
Good.
Will there be targeted milestones of progress?
Um,
I think it's gonna be dependent a lot on how they approach the project, because you have the work out on Donovan's Road, which is pretty shallow water main. And originally that, I don't think they're gonna tackle that first, because they're gonna have to restore that with hot mix at the end of every day.
Have they given their project
not
schedule
yet.
yet?
No, we haven't even
Yeah.
awarded them the contract
Sure.
yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we won't get that until,
So you'll know soon.
soon we'll have it,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, hopefully we'll know a little bit more on Monday when we meet with them. They probably won't have it 100% worked out, but we'll know enough to be able to speak to the community on Thursday.
Okay.
I mean, to answer Richard's question, I'd say, you know, the work out in Donovan's Road is a milestone. The sewer work will be done first, and you know, that will be a milestone when that gets completed. But that goes more to Austin's point about exactly how they're going to do the work, because they could do part of the way the mobile home park is set up. They could do some of the sewer work and get started on water main work. Oftentimes we get all the sewer in, then we come back and do the water main because the sewer is deeper than the water. But in this case, because it's the way the park's set up, they could actually get some of the sewer in, start the water main work. So we'll have to see their schedule and set up milestones accordingly. And of course, the big milestone will be when they get all the units tied in, the actual, and they have Harry Caswell as a sub-consultant to make all the plumbing connections to the actual units. So just recall that this is a turnkey project. When it's done, every one of those units will be hooked in. It won't be like we just have a service waiting at the property line. So
From the residents' standpoint, I think they'll want to have some idea of what to expect in the way of when they get hooked up in general or in specific. That kind of milestone question or information, I think they would be most interested in and understanding of why certain options could occur.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll try to get as much as we can from Teal about that part of it on Monday, so we can include it in our discussion at the community meeting. And as everybody knows, we'll have at least monthly progress meetings where the residents will be invited, or they're free to come in to keep up with the progress.
I know several of the residents had concerns about drainage and so forth. Has any of that been able to be?
Yeah, we included, there was one particularly bad spot when you go straight in towards the back that held water. We have storm tech units there to collect that water and let it drain infiltrate into the ground. And then we did some regrading in another particularly not bad place, but place where water collected.
Will they still have problems afterwards, just because of the?
It's a sewer and water project,
Yeah.
so we're not addressing stormwater per se. We try to discover where the worst places are, and we did address those, like I just mentioned.
Mhm.
You know, my experience was that it's a lot of grading off the road and a lot of like big potholes in the road that then created drainage getting off the road into the properties. And not for nothing, they do have speed bumps there that are like stunners, that the water was dammed up and that would create a problem. Now we're going to have speed bumps, but ours will be a little more, I'd say modernized, you know, more like a table.
And the
Not
city,
related to teal, but will somebody come in and pull the sewage out that's there and fill the tanks in? Is that part of the
Yeah,
process? Just-
all the holding tanks will be abandoned according to DNREC standards and the wells, the community wells.
Who oversees that to make sure that that happens?
GMB will have somebody out there, and they actually have to have DNREC come down and approve that. Yeah. But we've already got all the state specifications in the contract.
and remember, the roads are not going to be owned or maintained by the city.
Yeah,
So
good
that'll be,
point.
they'll all be private.
Good point. And this isn't the board's first time around on something like that. Mr. Webb, we did it at Highland Acres as well. We did all that abandoning of, in that case, it was septic tanks and individual property wells. In this case, it's community holding tanks, but there's a dozen of them around the community and then 2 community wells for water.
Is the owner of the property, or for the park, the one responsible for doing that?
No,
So
Teal, that's part of
they'll all
Teal's.
be, okay.
yeah.
Good. Well, I hate to-
And that was, that was in the interest of the park residents and, to get that all finished as part of this project.
long time coming. It's nice to see it get
Yeah, I was telling Austin, I received a plan from ECI Engineering, who was working directly with the park owner in 2007 to review. And they were coming up with like 2 or 3 pump stations and pumping it all the way down in front of Holding Cove. But yeah, so 2007, 15 years is the first time I heard of it.
Remind us again, the funding, how it's structured. Yeah, I know it's a loan and then it's going to be a grant.
Yeah.
You kind of clarify all that. So
Yeah, I forget
It was
the
pretty
exact dollar
involved.
amount, but it's near about $6 million, including the construction plus engineering plus legal fees involved with this project. And during construction, the board will have to pay the interest on the loan, but then once the construction is properly completed and DNREC and the Office of Drinking Water accept the project, they'll forgive the loan. So
with
in
the-
my
with the-
engineering
with
mind,
the interest involved,
pardon me?
including the interest.
I believe the park owner pays the interest.
You are,
We bill the park owner.
is that right?
Mhm.
Okay.
You'll have to pay the interest
As
yeah,
we go?
Mhm.
Okay,
As part of the MOU.
during construction.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
And one of the other constraints, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, was that the park owner has limitations on rent increases.
Yes, everything has to be submitted to all parties of the MOU before a rent increase is put into place for review.
So.
And it could not be, he could not pass any of the charges. I say he, it could be anybody, but they could not pass any of the charges related to water and sewer onto the residents.
So try to protect the residents from undue rent increases.
So what's the BPW's total amount that we're responsible for up until it's removed?
All we're doing is it's whatever we're being billed, we're billing out, whether we're receiving it from the state through funding or we're billing it to the owner.
So the loan comes to us. We pay the contractor and then we bill.
We actually have the option to have DNREC pay the contractor directly. It
Okay.
all depends on how timing plays out. We've started that process of making sure we have our ducks aligned.
So if we pay how does it work? Give me just a bill comes in and we pay it, or what happens?
We have options. That's what I would tell you. We have
Okay.
options that where we can pay and submit for reimbursement, or we can have DNREC actually pay the contractor directly.
So if we pay it, we go to the state and get reimbursed, in other
Correct.
words. Okay.
Which, as Austin said, that process has already started because they'll pay for all the engineering and legal fees even before the project is being constructed. So
Closing fees on the loan, everything.
yeah, we've submitted two reimbursement requests to DNREC and the Office of Drinking Water for all our legal and engineering fees that we incurred all the way back to 2017.
So on our financials though, I mean, if we're paying it and on anything and then getting reimbursed, that doesn't happen like Today it came in and tomorrow we get reimbursed. So how do we work that financially?
Do you? Can you put Kim on? Is she at her desk?
Well, yeah, okay, I didn't mean to.
I didn't know how Kim was gonna do it. She's the one that's been handling all the disbursements.
We're really not carrying any substantial amounts of money for this project.
So we don't have, I mean, it's not, I'm just wondering what kind of an impact it's going to be on our financial statement.
No, it's,
So it's just coming in and going out. We don't have to put reserves on or anything else.
mm,
Okay, well, that's my only question. I don't care about Kim doesn't have to do that.
It's better than any other project you have, I'd say.
Good, good. I'm going to write that in right now. Better than any other project.
if she wants.
If you want to, if you want to say that.
I'm here, but I don't think I need to.
Yeah, I think we covered
Yep.
it all.
Okay.
Thanks, Kim.
Any other questions? Discussion? Have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Teal construction bid, both A and B, for the Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park sanitary sewer and water extension.
Second. On the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's five in favor. So
Next,
Charlie, thanks for all the efforts and, I really got to thank, the state and everyone.
And
This
Mike-
is-
and Mike,
Yeah, Mike.
Oh, and Mike,
particularly Mike.
yes.
Fighting through this.
This has been a long time coming, as everyone has said, and it's to the betterment of the environment, the community out there and everyone. So
yeah, honestly, it's one of the best projects I've been involved with in terms of what you're talking about, environment and community help and assistance. Yep.
Okay.
So we'll get started with the agreement with Teal, the community meeting next week, and set up a pre-construction meeting all in, kind of simultaneously. Yep.
thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
One thing I've just started kind of penciling out here, not related necessarily, well, related, but not related, is a decision matrix. So that we actually get, what's the credit rating, what's our experience with the customer, what's their experience with this level of technology or whatever it is that's being installed, different nuances in the agreement, just things that we can look at, timelines, et cetera, when we go to make the decision the next time to make sure that we've got all the pertinent information available to us. So I'll put that together for review with the board.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, have a motion to go into executive session. Oh, I guess we probably do a call to the press now and then this way you don't have to hang around.
Aaron Mushrush with the Cape Gazette. I do have one question. Given the park owner's past, is there any hesitation about the billing or is there a plan in place to ensure that he will fulfill his obligations when he is billed?
If he doesn't meet the obligations per the MOU, then the repercussions back on him are of the total loan amount.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good question.
Yeah.
Are you guys going back into an open session after the executive session or
Yes.
you? Okay.
But
Does that make for anything? Do we have to?
There's no action. There's no
There's
action.
no action.
No.
No action.
you have to come out of executive session to open session and then adjourn.
To close. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Okay, a motion to go into executive session,
So moved.
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Should I? Probably have to go upstairs.